There's a few questions I ask every business before they join us. It's questions like, why me, why now? It's questions like, if you never met me, what would you do without me? And why wouldn't you just do that? But there's also another question I ask, which is, what is your most important asset? And by the time people have chewed about and thought about it, their initial response tends to be either something technical, but when you push them, they probably realize it's actually people. And if you think about what you're doing, the most important asset you will always have will be people. You can always buy and implement technology, but guess what? You can't buy and implement people. They can only choose to follow you. Something that I would teach then is this piece called the happiness system. And you're going to hear from some clients in our community of 100X. And these are guys that run a very, very successful digital marketing agency. It was already successful when I knew them. They're very prominent in the business community within their church. And we explored this notion of how love actually makes great profit. And the thing I said to them when they first came on board is this: you can have it all. You can have a happier team, happier customers, work less, have people more empowered, and make more money. In a very short amount of time, they're already seeing that. You'll love our guest today, David and Marina Krauter from Websites That Sell. We have David and Marina who run a company called Websites That Sell. It's a company that focuses on getting results for their clients when it comes to SEO and digital marketing. These guys are great. They don't just hit the vanity metrics. They're really going from how do I play our part in helping our clients grow, not grow in influence, but actually grow in revenue and grow in impact. David and Marina, we've only been working together as part of the 100X community for the last 3 or 4 months. And in a very short amount of time, they've gone hook, line, and sinker on a few key items that I know for a lot of businesses, this is going to be really helpful for. So they've built their company up. This is when we've met. It's already successful. It's already getting big results. The growth rates are double digit and have been times triple digit. So it's already a company, before we met, it's already a company that's categorized by fast growth. It's already been going strong. Okay. Question, David, Marina, why did you seek, coaching in the first place? And I want to say here, don't give the sanitized version. Don't give the version that's trying to sound good. I want you to be totally honest about why, your reservations, how'd you overcome them, all these types of stuff. So really want people to get into your inner workings. So when the company's growing fast, why did you seek help?
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Probably it's the barbecues that you promised, the smoke. No, but before we launch into that, it's who you are, Pete, and we really resonated with your character, with your integrity, with your fact that you're in touch with the Holy Spirit and you've got a prophetic edge as well. Mm-hmm. They were really integral things of who we're going to choose, because there's a million coaches out there. So the first decision was more so, can we work with this, guys? I just want to take a moment to honor you, mate. Like, you are awesome in terms of what you do and what you've brought to us. And it's not just impacted kind of our business, but our personal lives as well, and outside and in church. So that's just kind of the intro. But it was more so in our first call, or in our first meeting. Yeah, the line that you said is like, what got you here isn't going to get you there. I realized that I don't know everything. Like, we're pretty good at marketing and everything that we knew, but in terms of building an organization, I still had a lot to learn. So I knew we had to reach out, and it wasn't more sales. It wasn't more marketing or anything. We knew it was like, okay, no, we want to download that into our team and then make that scale. So that's kind of the decision of, all right, we need someone to come on. But we've never had any business coaches or anything like that, so pretty resistant to start with.
Yeah, and I think when I remember our first meeting and we were going through the top line numbers, and I said, you don't need me to be successful.
Yeah, I remember that conversation.
You go on by, and I think that's for a lot of people. It's like, if you look at the line of your life, it's pretty good. Like, we actually all live amazing lives. I was reading about it. To be in the top 1% of the global wealthy, it's just under $1 million US. Okay, wow. Net assets. Now, the average Australian is in the top 1% of the world's rich.
Wow.
And I think when you go, so I think it's fair to say that, you know, and it's not saying that within that there aren't stories, but we are all living a great life. You know, not all, but largely. You know, I think if you've got running water, a roof over your head, you know, compared to the average in the globe, we are going well. And the ability to get off your trajectory, there's got to be a core reason why. So what was it? What, like, beyond, yeah, we've done pretty well, must have been something you were wanting from this. Like, it wasn't more sales, but, you know, something makes you go.
Marina can answer that.
I think, well, the thing is, we were at a position in our business where the growth spurts were starting to hurt, but we needed, I'm a very visual person, right? So I'm like, Dave, the growth spurts are hurting to a point where we don't know how to treat them. And we needed someone to come in to help us out with the characteristic issues that we probably had as a couple or had as, you know, business owners and stuff like that. But we needed someone in our corner to see the blind spots that we didn't.
And probably the big thing is Marina didn't want to operate like this at home. She needed a little bit more of this. Us actually being able to do things together and not me just being in the company 10, 12 hours a day.
Yeah. When we had our meeting with you, Pete, it was so important for you to make sure that husband and wife were together in the meeting. It wasn't, all right, who's making the most money? Come on over. Let's do something about it. But it was like, I'd like for your wife to be there. And it really activated a unity between husband and wife, but also as business owners too. So it's awesome.
Yeah, because David, German, precision, hardworking. And I remember in the early conversations, like quite fairly intense in, hey, if I'm going to make this commitment, how much do I have to commit aside? And it was very kind of, these are my limited resources. How do I squeeze this in amongst everything else? And I can't remember what we said, but I did say, if we do this, I said, I am not your scapegoat not to be as present in the home.
Yeah.
You cannot use me as this, hey, baby, we're paying for this, so I have to do more long hours and see you less. I said, there is no way I'm going to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And I think what's happened here in such a short time is you've reframed how it could look like. So instead of going, this is how much time it costs, it's if you invest time wisely, it will pay you back. Yeah. And this is something I tell my kids. I say, okay, kids, how is time like money? And there's two answers. One is, once you've spent it, it's gone. Mm-hmm. And the other one is, if you invest it wisely, it will pay you back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. That's awesome.
And it's the same thing with money. It's not a limited resource if it's invested. And time, if it's invested wisely, is not a limited resource. Mm-hmm. And so this is the situation where the business is growing fast, but David's working really hard trying to control everything. And they've implemented a few things: a leader culture, recognition in terms of a happiness system, putting vision, mission, and values in, which we've spent a lot of time on.
Yeah.
But often I think people can glaze over when they hear vision, mission, and values. Whoa. Practically, just a quick snapshot so people hear. Pre-rolling this out, how would you describe the engagement of your team versus now? And, as you've put in leader, as you've put in these other cultural elements of stand-ups and things like that, what's been some of the tangible changes that you've seen?
Yeah, probably just the fun around the office is awesome. That's really cool. So we've got heaps of fun days and things like that. But I think there's just, Pete, one of the things you always say, Pete, is that we want momentum, but they want progression. And the leader culture is really built is like, oh, okay, if we actually, because we're running the company by the mission now and by our vision. And like, we've always had that on the wall. I've had like a few words and things like that, but it was never ingrained in everything we do. That's probably the big penny drop moment for us in the last few months, is like everything revolves around this. It's like in our conversations, in our training, in our marketing, here and there, everything is the language of our vision, mission, and things like that. And that's really, I think, where the buy-ins come from, where we see where we're going. And it's just not just me, is like, we want to get there. It's like, hey, if you want to get here, let me help you get here by us doing this together as a team. Is, I think that's become very evident. And just the way that we've been able to build the teams with the leader culture, it's that, yeah, people are taking responsibility for their departments, really. It's not just me, okay, we've got to do this, this, and this. They come to me with like, hey, we're doing this now. And rather than me trying to mastermind everything, I just use my experience to kind of give my input. Yeah. And I've actually got to refrain. Do that micromanagement. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's really, you got to remember, this is a great insight, okay, for a leader. Okay. You're not trying to get the task done efficiently.
No.
You're trying to build your team up in their area of responsibility so they get to work at something, succeed at something, and refine something. Yeah. So your job isn't efficiency in the moment. Your job is development. That's what a leader does, right? Is to develop people. And so for those kind of listening, if you've got a leader-follower culture, your followers come up with the problem and ask for direction. You know, Marge, our number one customer, is really cranky. What do I do? In a leader culture, you give job responsibilities, not job descriptions. And what happens, instead of coming up with a problem and asking for direction, they're going to give you the problem, they're going to give you the context, and then they're going to share with you their intention. And how you train them is by the questions you ask. Yeah. It might be, you know, is the network down, and can you give me a status on this? And then they know the next time to come forward to you, what are the things they need to consider to make the right piece. I want to get a little bit deep here on one thing, and that is your Christmas party last year. Yeah. So the Christmas party you ran previously was very different to the one you ran last year. Just a glimpse of this, right? And it was very different to how you've done it. And then tell us how people appreciate it and what are some of the things that have been said. So, yeah. Itinerary
for the team before we went out for our Christmas party. And we did like I wrote out a letter on how much we appreciate them and why, and appreciated their hard work. But what we wanted to do is spoil them and take them away from the screens and just have a time with nature, I guess, because they're always indoors. So we went on a scooter scavenger hunt. We got them to sit out and picnic and had like live music and stuff like that. But we gave them a list of things that they needed to come back to the hotel with, and we awarded them with it. So the award was something very small, like coffee for a couple of days at the office, which they totally appreciated. But one thing that they really loved is these awards. So we created awards for them and just talked about the small things that we noticed about them and really amplified it. Words of affirmation for anyone in this world is definitely something that.
Can you read one out? Can you read specifically? Yeah, sure. Read one out? Because I think it'd be good to kind of hear how personal you are. We wrote, congratulations, 2021 Selenites. That's our nickname. So we created a nickname for our team. So our
team members are called Selenites.
Yeah, Selenites. Award 4, and the in-house nickname is Mr. Significant. Mr. Significant is Nick Marchese. Nick, you continuously make significant forward shifts with every new project that he completes. His eye I remember crying when I was reading this, and I feel like I'm going to cry now because we're just so grateful. His eye to detail and smooth code is above industry standard. Nick, not only do you excel with every new project that you do, you take on, you are growing into a leader of your department and play a significant part into the success of Websites That Sell.
Yeah. Now, it's emotional for you to hear that. And I think quite often when your business might not be 10,000 people big, you think you've got to act like a big corporate. And just a quick story here is people feel your heart. And when you call out their potential as a leader.
Yeah.
And you probably say, I think there's a bit of freedom for especially you, Marina, that you could be who you are and how you love to express yourself. Like you love calling people out. You love making special moments. And a lot of people go, how's that relevant for business? And probably the culture of your company is more aligned to who you are. Is that a fair statement?
100%. Like we love having fun. We love partying, but we work hard as well. Yeah. Like that's who we are. And we love celebrating people's gifts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've had this response where you've had people say, gee, I wish I could work for you.
Yeah. I've had it numerous times from people at church. I'm like, oh, I wish I could work there. I wish I came to your Christmas party. Or like, oh, the Super Bowl. You guys had so much fun. We don't get that.
Yeah. And I was just reminded, sorry, Marina, you go.
I was just thinking, like, just doing that, the little award has activated this culture in our team where, you know, hey, good job, buddy. Like, you've done such an awesome job because, you know, I remind the team members, like, you need to position yourself for purpose every day. And whether if the purpose is to, you know, uplift someone throughout the day, then go for it. I was like, because you want to be able to try and this is what my kids say, I want my cup to be a little bit full every day.
So good. Now, this continues on in a few ways, right? So what I want everyone to kind of get on here, it's not one thing. It's not throwing one good Christmas party. So there's things in terms of getting your weekly stand-ups working well, where you recognize people. For those that are listening to this, you know, Dave's holding up this ball that they've made with branded, and it's called Team Shoutouts. So tell us about this. This is something that, you know, we would say is an ability to say thank you to someone. Mm-hmm. And why did you create the ball? Tell us about that.
Cool. Well, if we're going to here's probably the thing. If we're going to do something, we don't just want to half-ass it. We want to go, well, that's just our nature. It's like, if we're going to do something, we're going to go all in and make it awesome. So it's just like, well, we don't just want to kind of, shout out here. It's like, okay, well, let's make it interactive and actually throw the ball to someone, because we just used your model, Pete, and then just kind of made it our own, where you said it's a catcher and pitcher. Like, the first thought I had was baseball, but then I was like, no, let's do something more us. And it's like, it's basketball, it's got our brand on it, but it's also got the name. It's our weekly shout outs, our team shout outs. So we do that after every stand up. And we really kind of led into this with that we're responsible for, because it's the value. We want to be a happy place to work at. We don't just want it to be a grind. That's really my heart behind the workplace that we want to create. And then we did a stand up around where we're actually responsible for our own happiness. Yeah. And we did a quick, and the next one was about how people are happier when they actually give. Makes you more happier than receiving. I may have swiped that from one of yours, Pete, but that's the happiest people on earth, the people that actually give out. So that's kind of where it grew. And it's just really cool to now actually walk into the stand-up and they're nominating people for stuff that I didn't even know that happened. Yeah. And it's just really cool. I love it. That's grown. It's Marina and my heart. Like, we've learned a lot about encouragement over the last probably 10 years. It was never a thing in our lives before we kind of joined the church that we're at now. But now it's just awesome to see that culture.
If you're listening to this, activate a happiness system. Yeah. There's all these other elements that go around this. There's metrics and a whole bunch of things. Mm-hmm. So this is not in replacement of metrics. This is in addition to metrics that you'd need to run, but run the right ones. So don't measure too many things is what I would say. And look, for us, in terms of what I want you to know, we sold our business. One of the aspects that they loved is our happiness system, where we measured it for customers and staff. The company that bought us out is now going to IPO. And I know in their prospectus, one of the things they sell is to say the happiness system.
Yeah.
If you don't think that this has a commercial viability to it, I would challenge that on these things.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing to say, just a quick one here, is to say it doesn't have to be big.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be expensive.
No.
It's got to be genuine. And so some of you are going, I don't want to call that out because that feels a bit cheesy, or that's not me. But I just want you to understand you're the leader of the organization.
Yeah.
And everyone is looking for someone to see something in them and call out their potential.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
So just a practical one here if you're listening. There's a guy I know, and what he does, what's regular for him is every week he has a florist who's going to send flowers to someone in his team. His team's quite big.
That's cool.
But he gets a call on a Wednesday to say, who am I sending the flowers to this week? So it's a prompt for him to then think about, actually, this is who it's going to go
That's
to.
awesome.
So it might be systematic for you, but for them, it forces you to be well thought out. So don't just wait to feel grateful for someone, because here's the reality is I feel grateful for my wife, okay? But reality is when life's busy, I don't always get overwhelmed with gratitude and do something, And so to have a little reminder that says once a month it pops up and says do something intentional for your wife, I go, do you think she's going like, oh my goodness, well, that came up as a reminder, it's a pretty sad person that's going to be offended by that. So just to encourage you, get mechanisms to express it. And in this way, the mechanism is going to be these daily huddles.
Yeah.
So super cool. Dave?
I can probably comment a little bit more on this, on the happiness report. So that's the first thing that we implemented that you, and it was in line with the stand-up. So we never had a weekly stand-up. There's so many benefits to it. I'm not going to go into all of them, but so many. But in terms of the smile, the happiness report, we built that out straight away. But I just want to encourage people as well. It's a very slow start for us because our business, probably 80% of our business is repeat in contracts, like month on month. So it's not like we do a task, they get then we ask for a happiness report. A lot of our development clients, we get that, but we're only just growing that. So there's been weeks where I've had zero. So nothing went out. There's probably been 3 or 4 weeks now. And every week at the stand-up, I'm like, I don't care. I'm still reading out. We got happiness reports. Okay, we got 0. Remember, people, we got to keep sending this out. And so it's like, stick to it. And then last week we got 2. So it'll take time to take hold. But for me, it was like, okay, this is going to take persistence. And I don't care if we get 0 for the whole year. I'm still going to do this and I explained why it's really important to me, because the business has grown to a stage now where I don't have a relationship with every single client anymore. I used to be on the phone to them and stuff like that. And I said, I'm giving that responsibility over to you, but I still need to know how they feel. That's one of our guiding questions, Pete, that we've learned from you. Like it's, do they smile when they think about us?
Yeah.
That's one of our guiding questions along with our values. And it's and I want to be able to check that without having to pick up the phone. I want these to come in. So that's my heart behind it. And it's slowly catching on. But persistence is really important, because I was like, this has had no point, 0. But then I was like, nah, I'm just going to be persistent and keep pushing this week after week. So that's really just encouragement for people.
Really good. So for those listening now and going, what is this system? Basically, imagine you've got your whole team in a column 1 going from the top to the bottom, just their names. And then you can have one column that says pitcher and the second column that says catcher.
And then you stand up, you just say, hey guys, are there any special mentions? And a special mention is just a shout out. A shout out to someone in your team. Mm-hmm. So I'll just go, maybe I've got the ball and I'm going, I just want to shout out to Samuel. I want to give him the ball out award. Very nice. I like. He's not getting the award because he's good in the mankini. But, he stayed back and helped me get these shipments out that were urgent. And we got them out the night before on the truck rather than the next day. And I had a call from the customer who just really appreciated the extra mile I went to. All right, let's thank Samuel. 1, 2, boom. So for me as Peter, I get 1 point for being the pitcher.
Yep.
And for Samuel receiving it, he gets 1 point at being the catcher. Yeah. And what David has shared before is that people aren't going to leap at this. They're not going to love it. And so you've got to explain what happiness is and understand that they've done all the studies. There's no argument about this. The happiest people on earth don't receive gratitude. They give it.
Yeah.
If I said to you, think about the last time someone recognized you, well, that's a little bit out of your control and your happiness is then circumstantial. Yeah. But if I said to you right now with a piece of paper, just write down 3 things today that you're grateful for. The rain stopped. I love my kids. Health scare is not what it was. Whatever it might be, straight away, I want you to just think about it. Your mood lifts. And so what you do is you run that for a cycle. Now, that cycle could be a 6 + 2 week cycle, or it could be a 90-day cycle. And at the end of that, you close off the cycle and you give an award. We used to give a $150 dinner voucher to the person that pitched the most, that gave the most recognition, and a $150 voucher to the person that received the most recognition. And it teaches a thank you thing. Yep.
Yeah. And you know what? So we've just put on a girl who does our social media, and we're starting to offer it to clients as well. In the last one, they came up with the idea that we should actually share this on our social channels, and then each person has a hashtag and they actually know who's winning and who's losing. So we're looking to actually get our clients engaged and do the mention why they got a point this week. And then people this is slow because we've never had big social followings or anything. It hasn't been a priority, but just imagine that you're posting your score every week for your clients to see. And then they're like, yeah, go Nick, or go MJ, shout out to you. And then if a client sees, it's like, yeah, that's right. He helped me with this. Yeah. So that's kind of the next level that we're thinking that we want to take this thing. So it's outside of our organization as well. And it builds that trust with clients and it attracts people.
Yeah. Find ways to do that. We used to give our clients at the end of cycle, we would give the clients that gave the most feedback, whether it was corrective or affirmative, and we'd send them cupcakes.
That's great. Good idea. All right. That's good.
Yeah, I actually got this off someone there. He was Italian and he would send all these Italian sweets over. And the purpose was, thank you for giving feedback, because feedback's gold.
Yeah.
And so find ways to create that. So I hope that's kind of helpful for people. If you were thinking about it, how different is, I guess, the work and how you work now? If we think about where were you 3 or 4 months ago, a little bit more highly strung, almost trying to use me to justify more hours at work and less engaged at home, right? And there was this kind of scarcity. I'm going to be super efficient, right? And it's a very much an engineering mindset, which is essential. But for the team to grow, and this is what we're talking about, is what got you here won't get you there. You're a great engineer, you got great results, but it was all based on your ability to engineer and have all these helpers around you. And now you've made this change around the leadership piece. What are the top 1 or 2 things that have changed for you personally? And I guess, what have you noticed change in people? What have you found rewarding there?
Cool. Marina, what have you seen change in me?
What I've seen change in you? Oh, I think you're having fun. Dave has always been all right, let's get it done. Being German, he's just like, everything has to be done precise, done. But now he's like,
Yeah.
all right, let's get it done and let's have fun, And for him to come home and glow because he's finally doing something that he's been passionate about since get-go, but it's become that sluggish, just everyday grind kind of thing. But now he's having fun with it. So That's one thing that I've noticed. And it's created harmony at home too, because if Papa comes home and he's tense, then Mama and Papa are tense because they're stressed about one small thing that was unnecessary. And it just flows into every other spheres of our life. So making those small changes has also been a great example for our team members to go, you know what, I want to have fun at work too, just so that way it can also flow into my family, flow into everybody else that, all the other spheres that they, see or have,
Yeah, I think that's so helpful. And I think we were talking about this off call. Most people in life get help when they're in the desperate pressure time.
Yeah.
Right.
And then what happens, they get a little bit of help and they get out of the desperate pressure and they have a bit of space and they think, I don't need any help anymore. Well, if the vision of your life is to try and live chaos free, well, you don't need any more help. Yeah. But I think the thing I've been kind of thinking about is this, is like, and my belief, I believe at one point our time on earth ends, and that I believe that we get this moment to kind of look back on our life and you see the life you lived and all the opportunities you took and all the shots you didn't take. But you'll see with clarity all the potential that you had.
Yeah.
But you didn't take because instead of going for the potential and your consecration, where you've stayed is, I don't want to have too much chaos.
Yeah.
And so I just want to encourage people to say, get off seeking help when you're just in pain.
Yeah, totally.
If you think about this, there was this whole attitude to say, well, I'm now out of pain, but guess what? I'm going to be on the front foot and think about how to develop a person even further.
Mm-hmm.
And you think, oh, if you have too much fun, they're not going to work as well. Right? Like they get more involvement. We spend so much time at work and we go better when we're not under pressure. You just make the dumbest decisions when you're under pressure. And that whole notion of slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
Mm-hmm.
Not good to stay in the chaos, urgent and important.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great investment that you've had. Guys, as we finish off, if someone was listening to this going, they've got a great business but it's kind of like lots of followers. They employed helpers, right? Come in here, do this job. And I'm sure like you at the beginning, maybe a bit hesitant on some things. Like now you're going, this was good. But if they're hesitant, what would you be saying to them could be one practical step to get them going?
Yeah. All right. One. We got so many. Just do one thing. Just like we just went at it. Like take action on one thing, even if it's half right. You're moving forward. That's what gave us momentum, I think, Pete. You just gave us one, like the happiness report that we could send to our clients. That's just the one thing I did. And then I'm like, oh, now I can do this. Now I can do this. And it just really gave us momentum around this stuff. So that's the thing. It's just like, just pick one. Just ask Pete, which one should I do? Or what have you got? And then just pick the one and just go for it and actually implement it. That's probably the key. You got to implement. I'm good at that naturally. I'm always like, I'm going to implement. That's one of my strengths.
Yeah. Now, if you're listening to this, guys, whether on a recording or now, if you want to reach out to David and Marina and talk about the culture elements, do that. But the second thing is, because they're software developers, they've actually built this into the software. And so their customers can log on, but the team can log on and give the happiness ratings and things like that. So either from a cultural implementation leadership questions, reach out to them. The second thing is they can build this for you, and I've been having chats with them to go, they've built it on their system. I've been having chats with them to go, hey, I'd love to kind of be able to offer this up to other people. So reach out to them. Ella, do you want to ask your question?
Yeah, my question is just around your different personalities and how you see that kind of flow into creating a great workplace culture.
We like to remind our team during the work huddles or the weekly stand-ups that we are atmosphere agents. And we just like to, like, for example, for the Super Bowl, we wanted everyone to bring in a small thing that they wanted to share from their heart in their food, you know, and that kind of created a little bit of unity, which was awesome. The outings have been really good, just so that, and we're really strategic when we do our outings. We actually have like top three or so questions for everyone to answer together. Or what is one thing that you are grateful for? Just those kind of things activate an atmosphere of what's the word? Conversations and stuff like that. It really brings incredible unity. I like to take them out of the office sometimes and just have donuts outside. And I tell them, I'm like, all right, guys, take a break. I know Dave's not here, but I'm really the boss. I was like, come, let's go have a donut break. So Dave and I strategically ask questions. What's one thing that you're looking forward to this weekend? And then everyone end up having a conversation. And then and then they find out things that they realize that even though personality, they're different, but they actually, you know, enjoy the same things. So.
Yeah, I think one of the things on our leadership journey over the last few years is that you got to draw their gifts out for others to see. So it's really celebrating their uniqueness. That has been really cool. And that's what the awards did. Each one of our, we're in IT. We've got just a range of different personalities.
Dave and I are the only extroverts.
Oh, and Naka, but literally 20%. So we have to draw out and celebrate those unique things publicly. I think that's really important. So it's not just them recognizing, but others as well, their gifts and how that's like, wow, that's what makes the machine work. It's like, because he can think like that, she can think like this. Yeah. And celebrating that and publicly making that known to people has been really good.
But just also reminding them, hey guys, how awesome is that? You know, celebrating that and go, the reason why we do this is because we want to activate something in your heart. So, and it's not like this, you know, robotic, you know, conversation. I want answers. The spotlight's on you. You have to answer. It's just like, that is so awesome. The reason why we do that, the reason why Dave and I ask these questions is because we just wanted you guys to be, you know, you guys to realize the gifts within yourself. So then it shows your heart on why you're drawing these things, because then you're raising leaders by then, because they're like, oh, I didn't realize I had that. And you go, well, this is what I see. Words of encouragement, affirmations, and learning their love languages and just amplifying it.
Marina's good at that.
Go for it. You know, I think that's the thing, right, guys? Be the leader worth following. Can you ask this question, Samuel? This will be our last one.
Yeah, just how do you have your events without them being expected, or I've chatted with Pete about this a bit, you know, without people thinking that they've earned it, but like whether it's expected, you know, or when's our next event, you know, without it being taken for granted, I guess. Yeah.
I send out, we have a Signal or a WhatsApp room, a communication room, and I just throw out little letter, like a save the date letter. And so they're expecting something, but they don't know what's actually happening. And or I would sometimes leave a letter in their little booklets, because they've all got checklists. I'd leave a save the date letter on there. Hey guys, we love you so much. Just letting you know that something's coming up on this day. So then that's it.
Yeah, they don't know what, but like, here's the thing probably, Sam, is that, Samuel, sorry. It's for you having it in your calendar, it's expected, but there's a million things going on in your staff's mind. So that's not what they're thinking about all the time. That's probably the first mindset thing I had to shift, because for me, I was like, oh, then they'll expect it because I expect it. Yeah, it's in my calendar, but not for them. So that's the first thing. And then we change it up. So it's like, we're not always going to a place every month. We might go do a social outing 2 or 3 times a year. But then it's just little things in the office. Or Pete taught us, like, bring someone else in. That's an event too. It's not like bring a massage therapist in, bring a hair person in or something like that. That's an event too. So they're not all the same. So keep them different as well. So it's but probably the biggest mindset shift for me was that even though it's planned for me, no one's expecting
for
it.
them. Yeah, and they love that.
Yeah,
Really good, guys.
Pete, just to round it out, if there's one thing like that's really like you said, oh, what's it done and changed in your workplace? Like it's been so rewarding. And I want Marina to read this out. This is from one of our team members. This is what they said after our Christmas party. And like, if this is why we do what we do. So if you want to read that out real quick.
Yeah, this is after just having to teach them about words of affirmation, but this is the letter, and he's least, doesn't talk that much at work. Thank you for providing a work environment that makes me glad to get up in the morning. I'm not going to cry. Thank you for providing a place where I feel like my opinion is valued. Thank you for providing a place where I feel like my work has a meaning. Lastly, thank you for providing a place where I feel like my work contributes to a greater good. And that's rewarding for us as business owners. We want to position ourselves for purpose. I'm going to stop.
How good is that? And I think that's it. This is what you're doing. If you can shift your leadership focus to the development and betterment of your team and others, then they're not coming to work.
Yeah.
They're coming to contribute and they're coming to grow. Hey, thank you, guys. Let me just pray for us all as we round off. Lord, I just want to thank you that you call out our potential, that you see more in us than we see in ourselves. And when we get a glimpse of that, it gives us hope and encouragement to take a step up. I want to pray for every leader listening to this call, everyone that has someone looking up to them, whether that be a team member or family member, someone that is looking up to you for you to call something out in them. I want to pray for a courage that we wouldn't think about ourselves and stay in our comfort zone, but that we'd get our shift to think about the development and encouragement for other people. Give us the courage to take that step and help us to see, thank you for the examples of these guys that have taken that step and how quickly we can bring about a positive change to someone's life. Amen.
So as you think about this podcast, it leads the question on this. Think about the 3 E's. What's efficient? What's effective? What's enjoyable? In David and Marina's story, they first focused on the first 2, which was efficient and effective. In such an environment, you're concentrating on telling people what to do. But if we know that we can't control people, that they can only willingly come on board, and if they come on board in such a way where they can own it, then you're going to see more than them doing their job. They're going to give you discretionary effort, and they can only do that if they're enjoying it. And they're only going to enjoy it if they feel loved. Websites that sell want to create a culture where they're the second happiest place on earth. What can you do in your business today or your group today that can create true happiness that's based on service? Check us out next week on the podcast. You can follow these guys on websites that sell. See us on Peter Lowe 100X or 100X Legacy. We'll see you soon.